Test. Talking. Yes. Oh, no sounds. Yes, sounds okay. No. Yes.
Like this, right? Okay. Hello? Shall we begin? Everybody can hear okay? If you have trouble hearing, please use the headsets. Welcome to our side event, Integrating Mitigation and Adaptation, Building Coherent Climate Action for Resilient Economies. If you go to the next slide, I hope all of this can mostly be a discussion with all of you as opposed to us talking at you. So I want to keep our speaker remarks fairly short, just introduce some ideas that were maybe some controversial ideas, and hear from you as well. That's the hope. So we'll start with the opening thoughts of 4 speakers, and then really focus on engaging with you and learning from you. So the speakers today are starting with myself. I'm Annette Huber-Lee. I'm a senior scientist at the Stockholm Environment Institute, and I've been working for decades on transboundary water, the economics of water, water planning and management. So I'm coming from the water side. And then I'll introduce the other speakers, but when they speak, they will further introduce themselves. So following me, actually, we'll have Dr. Eric Kemp-Benedict say a few words. He's from the Leeds University in the UK. Then we have the pleasure of Dr. Idris Mylar, who is the director of the Water Resilience Tracker at AGWA. And we will have a recorded message from Dr. Maria Gwynn, this amazing woman. I'm really sorry she's not here, but she's with the UN Global Water Convention Implementation Committee and is an NIH fellow. She spent many years doing hydropower work. And then we have Dr. Chunye Wei, who will be speaking with us about her experience in China. So it's nice to get this diversity of speakers. And we have the pleasure of having our moderator, Mr. Manuel Eckert, who is a leading expert in water governance with CB, who will do the moderation. So I'm really pleased to talk about this new initiative we have at SEI. We're looking at how do we actually go about bridging the gap between mitigation and adaptation. We are no longer in a space of normal. We are seeing records broken every day, almost every single day. Biggest droughts, longest droughts, biggest floods, unbelievable wildfires, hurricanes, and we can no longer look at the past as a way to plan for the future. We need now to be thinking about events that will happen that we have never seen before. We have reached a tipping point. We no longer have the luxury of just focusing on mitigation and we'll get to adaptation later. We need adaptation now at the scale of investment that we're putting into mitigation. 2 days ago in this pavilion, 4 development banks made a clear statement. If you don't integrate across these silos, water, energy, mitigation, adaptation, you're doing it wrong. And I hope I can prove that point with some of our work. So our focus here is, oh, actually one back, sorry. I'm okay? I just hear some interference. So one of the reasons we have gone about doing this linkage using our system tools is to try to get the attention of countries and decision makers. And we believe the way to do that is to talk about GDP, jobs, and resilience. And we've used WEAP and LEAP, our sort of widely used software, WEAP for water systems and agriculture, and LEAP has been used in over 60 NDCs, more than 100,000 users. So this is about democratizing knowledge. And if we bring that in with the macroeconomic model, it's a really powerful set of tools. We hope to democratize. So I just, on the next slide, I want to show an illustration of why macroeconomics is so important. If we focus on microeconomics, we're kind of in the low right-hand corner. We'd be taking into account the variability that you have from rainfall, but we wouldn't be taking into account how that variability plays out through the entire economy, how it plays out in other sectors. What does that do to jobs? What does that do to the GDP? So we have been working in 6 countries applying this approach. And I'll show you on the next slide some results on impact of GDP under baseline conditions in Rwanda. So this is if Rwanda does not do anything in terms of adaptation mitigation, you'll see a high variability across different climate projections. So here we have a dry, wet, and historical climate projection, and we're able to show that doing nothing leads to a great deal of volatility. And most of this volatility is in fact due to the fact that Rwanda has run-of-river hydropower. So one of the proposals in subsequent discussions with them is increasing storage and moving away from just hydropower. My last slide is work we're doing with 5 countries in Central Asia. Here we've been able to show that when you don't link the water and the energy sides, you lose opportunities for increased use of water. Actually, so we normally assume on the water side that hydropower is going to use all available energy. If it doesn't, it frees up water for storage that can be used for other purposes. On the flip side, with energy, if you don't take the water side into account, you've misplaced investments, in the case of Central Asia, on the order of almost $9 billion. So this is real money that should be evaluated against the kind of investments that could be made in adaptation and mitigation, could be joint, could be trade-offs. I think open up from somebody who's done a lot of transboundary work, for me it changes the equation. It's no longer just who gets 1 cubic meter water here and who doesn't get it there. This is about opening up opportunities across water, energy, food, and ecosystems. So I'd like to hand over to my colleague Eric, who's on Teams, if that can possibly work.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Annette. And thank you everyone for joining this session. I will just say a very few words about the macroeconomic approach, reiterate what Annette said, that this is really in response to interest from policymakers to have variables having to do with economic output, employment, and so on. And as Annette noted, one of the most important channels for this is on water-constrained sectors. You have an immediate impact, but that also has knock-on effects across the economy. And it can have effect on trade and prices as well. So that's one set of impacts, and that's what we have focused on with the water analysis. I realize this is the Water for Climate Pavilion, but as Annette noted, it's important to link to the energy system and mitigation efforts. And there we have focused on the impact of investment expenditure on low carbon transition plans and how that can have an impact downstream on investment, expenditure, employment, and so on. And these is tying it together in this systems approach, we have found to provide useful indicators that go beyond the sector level. We hope that this has in fact demonstrated the benefits of an analysis that brings those what are normally silos together. So thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Eric. Idris, may I hand over to you?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Anite. Good morning. I'm Idris Malyar, the Director of Water Resilience Tracker. I'm here myself, but it's fine. Working with Agua. I worked also in Transboundary Sphere. I studied with Aaron and negotiated for my country for more than 3 years as a national negotiator with Afghanistan government. I'm still doing my research in transboundary water, but for now I'll only talk about the Water Resilience Tracker. I'm really glad to be part of this panel and talking to you all on a very important subject of bringing mitigation and adaptation discussion closer together. We know the climate does not separate it, but we as people and institutions create parallel tracks for mitigation and adaptation, whether that's in our education system, if that's in our government system, and even in the NGO sphere and where we are working at the international level. So why is it important? Because as I said, countries are struggling to marry these two concepts of mitigation and adaptation and working at the parallel setups. So what they have most of the time, they have the risk information, they have the reactive kind of ways of dealing with adaptation, they have the mitigation information and investments, but they also not combine it with the resilience. So all of these are, once you put it together, then that can be working better. So that's where the water resilience tracker comes. It's a the water resilience tracker in itself is not a technical tool, but it is a way of bringing the governance of climate with water together. It is on assumption that if we want to succeed with climate action, we must recognize the role of water and we must highlight it and work through water. So the tracker itself as a tool is applied at national level at the beginning. We start with the documents like the NDCs and NAPs and other national development plans like the water plans, agriculture plans, and we apply it at this level. So how that works is that at the beginning we see how the water is reflected in the NDC. Is it reflected or shown as a risk? or as an opportunity, or it is looked as a sector. And then we start working on the institution level, how the governance structure is for water and climate. And then we also look at the sectorial level, how agriculture plans are talking to the plans with the irrigation with the energy with the industry. So all of these are interconnected, but working, as I was saying at the beginning, in silos. So the tracker is a model or a tool that brings whole of this water and climate agenda on one page. So it's a big picture of snapshot that where we are and how things work. As I said, I'd work with the government. I would have loved to have something like this to bring my different documents, different plans in one page, and I see it where I have things working, where are not working, how much one policy or one document is aware from another. In this case of this setup, how much my adaptation work is connected with my mitigation and how they impact each other. So that's the tracker in short, and then at the end we look at the financial setup of the government and these plans. If you have a national adaptation plan, how you gonna support that? How you finance that? Do you have a pathway to finance of it? So these are all the discussion which comes at the very first stage of the water resilience tracker, and then we go beyond that and we see how things work. It's a very diagnostic stage that helps countries to understand what's happening, and it takes at least 6 to 9 months based on how active the government, how accelerated the work we do there. Oh, that way. Okay, so for the water resilience tracker, I don't want to forget that it's not only Agua. We have 4 core members with us, including Agua. It's Arup, EMI, and Del Torres. All the work that we will be doing in phase 2, it's not possible to do it alone, and that's where we bring all these great partners with us. Tracker is also part of a bigger initiative that is called the Just Transition for Water Security. It's an FCDO climate program. It's the biggest climate program they have within the FCDO, and Tracker is part of one of the 3 pillars that they are working with. The 2 others are fair water footprints, and we have the phase 0 where we get the information from the countries, we work on an inception report, all of that. At the moment, we have more than 40 countries on our wait list, so we have to go through this phase 0 very much critically. And then we start with phase 1, where I explain it takes 6 to 9 months, and that's more of the questionnaire application of that. We do the validation workshops, after our analysis, and then we produce the report. So here it comes the phase 2, which is very much important. Once we find what are the problems, where are the gaps, then we start working on that, and those are different from each country. At the here in Brazil, where we work, is that we started at the national level. The Brazilian government told us why we don't apply that tracker at the basin level. So we are coming from the national to the basin level. That's where we are working. We will be starting very soon, actively working in 6 basins in Brazil. The same thing with Malawi. We had the initial phase, we found the gaps, whatever the problems are or the strengths were. Now we in Malawi will be working on early warning systems. So it depends on each country. With Nepal, we have helped them with their NDC implementation, with their NDC implementation plan, NDC development itself. And I was just explaining to Thomas that we did a climate negotiation training for Nepal, because that was needed in a bigger picture, that how they want to see the climate negotiation, where we can come and support them. We did a climate finance training for Nepal that is continuing, and it will be not one-time training, but until we get something from the big climate funds like the GCF, GIF or others, but they should know how they work. So it's totally different. Like in Egypt, we are working on 4 hotspots, 4 cities or 4 areas that at the very subnational level, the tracker will be applied. So that's the tracker in 5 minutes, I think. I have a few more slides. Okay, this is shows our current countries. We completed these 10 countries on the left, and the current countries are Brazil, Egypt, Morocco, Malawi, Nepal, and Panama. We will be expanding, but depending on team and the resources. But as I said, we have 40 plus countries interested and waiting list. Yeah, I think I explained the countries, but we can just go through these 3 slides, and that's, I think, all within 5 minutes. Thank you.
We'll switch now to the recorded message from Dr. Maria Quinn.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to give opening remarks at this session at COP30 in Brazil. If we want to build a coherent climate action for resilient economies, we have to focus on actions concerning our natural resources, most of which are shared between different countries with different interests, but all of which need these resources to thrive. Already in the year 1970, through a UN General Assembly resolution, the international community came together to state that water resources are limited and that their protection and preservation is of great importance to all nations. Not only does this continue to be true today, but it demands our attentions even more today. For not only are our water resources limited, we're also experiencing the consequences of a changing climate more and more. The increasing temperatures are affecting water cycle, causing droughts, floods, degrading land, melting glaciers, rising of the sea levels, and the reduction of water availability. Nature itself is showing us that we must act if we want to prevent or at least minimize the risk of harmful consequences all over the world. Thus, our action should be holistic, and that is, yes, we need to reduce our global emissions, work on mitigation actions, but also work to adapt and be resilient to the impacts of climate change. We need to protect and preserve our ecosystems, and where needed, to restore them. And we need to work on a sustainable management of our transboundary water resources. Maintaining a holistic approach in our actions is crucial because of the obvious interdependence of water, energy, food, and ecosystem, but also because when we implement action with this holistic approach, we can actually expand the pool of benefits. The sustainable and holistic management of water resources, the use of innovation and technology can give us, for example, a more efficient and higher generation of hydropower, a renewable source of energy that is stable and can complement other sources of renewable energy, such as solar. At the same time, when we work on reforestation, preservation, or restoration of our ecosystem, we are strengthening our biodiversity, needed not only for our fauna and flora, but also for the security of our water system. And lastly, the utilization of natural resources in a sustainable way enable us to meet the demands of growing populations, allowing our communities to benefit, but without compromising the ability of future generations to benefit also from our valuable natural resources. Therefore, cooperation is crucial, and only if we all work together, we will be able to tackle the challenges of climate change. So thank you very much, and I wish you all a fruitful and successful meeting at COP30 in Brazil. Thank you.
Wei, could I ask you to?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chunyue Wei, and I come from a Chinese local NGO, and our work focus more on biodiversity conservation. So I'm not an expert in water or climate change. And today I just want to share some of the information on China's approach in integrating mitigation and adaptation. So from the top level policy perspective, early in 2007, China's National Climate Change Program has enshrined the principle of placing equal emphasis on mitigation and adaptation in addressing climate change. And in 2022, China released the National Climate Adaptation Plan. And also in our recently released NDC, we have a headline adaptation goal of by 2035, a climate resilient society will be basically established. So to operationalize this goal, China has recently launched a plan to establish a unified climate change standard system with 3 pillars. First is basic capacity, and second one mitigation, and third one adaptation. And the adaptation pillar involves standards for climate change monitoring, risk assessment, and also adaptation actions, and also their effectiveness evaluation. So this standard system helps to provide comprehensive guidance and also standardization for coordinated actions in mitigation and adaptation. In China, we also have city-level pilot programs that offers valuable practical insights. So since 2010, China has run low-carbon city pilots and also has initiated climate resilient city pilots since 2017. So a total of 10 cities have both titles simultaneously. So these cities offers valuable samples for us to analyze the benefit of mitigation and adaptation policy synergy. So a recent study published by Peking University shows that compared to those single pilot cities, the dual pilot cities perform significantly better in low carbon resilience, which is an indicator measured by a composite of ecological, economic, social, and institutional factors. The study also found that strengthening green technology innovation, developing human capital, and also improving communication infrastructure, these are the crucial components to enhance the effectiveness of these policies. In terms of policy objectives, these dual pilot cities maintain balanced attention across both high emission and high vulnerability sectors, such as telecommunication, transportation, and energy. While those single pilot cities mainly focusing on certain aspects. For example, the low carbon cities mainly focus on energy efficiency and carbon reduction in industrial and building sectors, while the climate resilient cities mostly emphasize the resilience in agriculture and transportation sectors. Moreover, those dual cities, they have more comprehensive and systematic climate policy pathways, deploying combined policy instruments, including regulatory mandates, economic incentives, and also public awareness raising tools. So based on these findings, this study recommends cities to actively integrate mitigation and adaptation strategies. And it is also suggested that diversification and integration of policy tools combined with multi-dimensional policy goals will ensure maximize the synergy and strengthen urban resilience, which offers possibilities for these pilots to scale up. And I hope this offers some valuable perspectives on some of China's integrated approach to integrate the mitigation and adaptation. And I look forward to exchange and learning from all your experience. And before I close, I just want to shortly add that, as I mentioned, that I'm from a Chinese local NGO, and we mainly work on the Tibetan Plateau and other parts of China in supporting the local communities to build climate resilience through climate-based monitoring, restoration, and sustainable livelihood initiatives. So while Annette asked me to speak about high-level policies, my work is mainly focusing on the underground practices, and I'm happy to share more if that helps. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wei. I'm really glad you raised this point about scale, because we can't forget that we need to work at large scales to try to move the big machine, and so to speak, but we need to make sure that we're taking care of people locally as well. So thank you, and I'd like to hand over to Manuel.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're now, after hearing a few of expert speakers talk, moving to the interactive segment of the session, because we decided to leave the really tough questions for you, the audience. So we're trying to discuss a bit what really are the challenges, the barriers, and why are we not seeing this integration of dual benefit mitigation and adaptation action already. So, of course, we'll still have our expert speakers with us, and they're also, of course, welcome to join me on stage or just remain in the audience. But, of course, leaving the floor for any questions, thoughts, or just bursts of ideas, if you have any. So, if there's already anyone, yes, of course. And please just introduce yourself quickly and state your organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manuel, and all the organizers. I'm Oscar Rodas from Paraguay. I'm now part of the national delegation, but I work for a sponsor institution, the WWF, that is part of the Water for Climate. My question is, maybe we can take the opportunity that Paraguay, Brazil, Bolivia, and Argentina, and Uruguay, we share the same water space. That is the La Plata Basin. Maybe we can apply all these kind of trackers and tools together in order to integrate our ideas. And for example, Dr. Maria Antonia Wynn is a champion in my country. She is a leader at the United Nations level, and maybe she can help us in order to work together with our neighbor countries. Can you imagine that we share the Paraguay River, the Paraná River, and maybe we can find joint solutions. This is only an idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And does someone from the initiatives we heard respond on that collaboration aspect?
Thanks so much for the question and comment. I think I forgot to say that at the end of my presentation I was worried about 5 minutes. So our ask is that let's work together, and that's what we want at the tracker. We have the experience now from over 15, 17 countries. We have the core team, and we are expecting other countries to come and join our team. There might be some funding issues, but we can sort that out. But we are looking for the nations and the countries that they want to be part of it and find a solution that how we can, because in a very simple language, we have the core funding, we have the team available there, but we need something on the ground. So for that, we can sort things out. But one of the things for the tracker has been that it was applied at the national level, as I said. Now in Brazil, we are going at the subnational or basin level. The other part is we are thinking to apply it at the transboundary level. So if we can apply the tracker at the transboundary level, that will cover at least all the three sections that we are foreseeing now. One of the areas that we are looking for that is the CARIC area, the Central Asia, that we are thinking to apply the tracker at the basin, transboundary basin level. But that's a good suggestion from your side as well. You have my information. We can talk, and we are looking forward to something at the two-country level. Even at the basin level, sorry if that's a little bit longer answer. At the basin level, yesterday I was talking to one of the basins that we are working in Brazil. They have 5 states within the same basin. So that's also a transboundary within the country that we will get that experience and bring it to the international level. So thank you.
Any further responses from?
Yes.
Please,
May
go
I?
ahead.
Hey, how are you? No, I just wanted to make use of the opportunity to present myself. I'm Juanita Riza, Director of the National Water Network of Colombia and the focal point of the Environmental Justice Group of the ECLAC for environmental justice. So, we're really happy to be here in the pavilion. We have a huge experience as well on water defense. We created the Water Committee of the Senate and the House of the Congress of Colombia 4 years ago. And I directed it as secretary, and what we can tell about it is that we really need to keep on strengthening the structures on our next product, and that we would love to collaborate with all of you, is to create the National Water Agency of Colombia. We've done our best to resolve the issue. From the social point, we integrated more than 7,000 organizations around the world to do it, from the side of the society. From the side of the enterprises, we integrated 2,000 in different projects. From side of politics, we made 20 laws. But after 16 years, the problem persists. And I can assure you, this won't be resolved in an office. So we need to create the institution of the Water National Agency, and we would love to collaborate with all of you, but especially as well with the Water Convention. I think the Water Convention of UN, the work that the Economic Commission of Europe is doing, the governance, and the legal framework is important, but we need to put it down into products. And one of the products we need the most urgent is the technology for the water, monitoring, adaptation, and so on. So that's why also I would like to invite Colombia, with the support of the Water Secretary of the Convention and the Vice President of Colombia. So we are thank you.
Thank you so much. And please continue, yes, if you want. Oh, of course.
Years, and I know how much struggle it is to bring different years, and I know how much struggle it is to bring different sectors and different institution together. A story is that I was talking to the GCF and I said that this is a project that we want to apply for, and they said that, oh, you have that project already applied through the FAO, and and that project is coming, the same project for the same region is coming, India or somebody who is the focal point for them. I didn't know that project went a year before me. So that kind of struck the whole thing. I was like, how we can bring things in a snapshot or a system that I can see who is applying for what. So this is a real example. There was another one with the same GIF funding, that we give the authorization of work from the NDA to WHO and also to UNEP. So these were the examples that I have seen firsthand. Now, what the tracker does is that it reads your national documents, whether it's NDC, whether you are now that, okay, if you are irrigating 3,000 or 100,000 hectares of land, where is the water coming from? And that was the question we asked in Brazil from the Ministry of Agriculture. They looked at the water ministry and said, they know that's their problem. So that's a situation, whether you are a very developed government or very allow the conversation and convene these meetings to talk to, and that helps the Ministry of Water or whatever ministry we are working with, to bring everyone with evidence, with documents.
I just want to say that I was in a National Energy Agency that was about resilience, and of course part of the discussion went to hydro. This is not a success story. I don't